Welcome back, guys, to another episode of Decentralized Chain. It's Feroz, and in today's episode, we are going to be catching up with Richard for the July update on Saito. What's been going on? Covering off quite a few things from community to development to awareness to really just generally what has been going on with Saito. But before we do, if this is the type of content that you like and you want to learn more about crypto, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Certainly hit the like button, helps with engagement, helps with growing the channel. And come on over, join us on the Telegram community. Plenty of content being shared there as well, and just general community members that you might want to talk to. And I will see you on the other side. Welcome to the show. Great to have you here. Thought I'd squeeze you in just before July ends so we can say that we officially had a July catch-up. How have you been?
Really, really good. Very busy. Talking to you now from sunny Melbourne, although in the middle of winter. So, yeah, really glad to be, catch it just before the end of the month and get the update out.
Fantastic. And we'll talk a bit about more your move to Australia as well a bit later on. But before we do, let's start with community, as always, at the heart of all projects.
Yeah. Well, especially for us. And I think the cool thing is, they keep just surprising us and performing. So we had couple of really good things come out this month. One from 0x Luminous on sort of ideas around Saito and open source funding. Mm-hmm. And I've been reading through and talking to Brick Block Cube, who people might be familiar with in the forums and on Twitter, who's got an extended piece coming out on blockchain design generally and where we fit in. Really great reading through his take on stuff. And I think you'll see on Twitter today people talking about how maybe he's the kind of one of the leading voices now, kind of in explaining the ideas behind Saito, et cetera, which is really rewarding for us at the project.
I suppose the good thing here is that you have, individuals, members of the community speaking out about Saito and explaining Saito to, others who are just coming across it. And it's not just communication driven by the core Saito team, which, it's a great thing to see and hear, actually, overall.
I think, for us, it gives us energy to keep going beyond almost anything else that happens, because it's a reaffirmation that we're onto something. And then I think when you're trying to achieve what Saito's trying to achieve, it only gets there through people seeing and understanding what you're trying to do, etc. We're not when Binance 4,000% APR project. We're not a DeFi idea that people can grok in 10 seconds and understand as like a value proposition. It's more nuanced than that, and it's bigger than that. So having the ideas take root and grow in ways that beyond what we could achieve as a kind of founding team and then as a core project, that really matters. And I think it's the future of the project. So we're always excited when that is happening and when we see kind of evidence of how that's growing.
In terms of growing, let's talk a bit about your developers, because I do see the odd question here and there. What are your developers working on exactly?
So, I think people have been asking us also for like last town hall, maybe we'll do a more in-depth, introduce the developer thing coming up in the town halls. But we're kind of working really intensely with guys. And, we're not necessarily saying who they are, what they're doing. I think just wanted to say that maybe just introduce this today. The core team that are working on the Rust implementation, two really fantastic guys, both Sri Lankan actually, and that's not a coincidence. They knew each other, and one suggested the second hire, as most good hires happen to be. And their bulk of their experience isn't in the crypto space, but actually in traditional exchanges, as in like stock exchange work. Okay. So they're really what we need for the scaling side of things, because they're going to clean, open thinking about the challenges facing a high throughput, high availability piece of software like a Saito node. And open to the different strategies, etc. That if someone came from Ethereum or came from whatever EOS, they'd have a really tight picture on like what's required. They'd be forever solving the problems that other chains have introduced to themselves, rather than thinking clearly about where we are with Saito and what our problems are.
Okay. And then in terms of awareness, because I've noticed that you're also now getting tracked on Binance. We've got .marketcap. You want to speak a bit more about that as well?
Yeah, well, I think it's really interesting. I mean, those are both things where they came to us and just said that they're all listed. They're not, the exchange platforms. They're the information platforms associated with them. But it's clearly showing that we're on the radar and that people are seeing that, what we're doing, persistence of being around. I mean, you look at what launched, how many projects launched around the time we did. And we're one of the few that are probably much stronger now than we were then. And I think what we're starting to see is kind of level one of awareness and acceptance amongst the broader industry who haven't even been in touch with us. And that's a good sign that across the board we're starting to get traction.
In terms of traction, network usage, I mean, that's always forever growing, right?
Up and up. And that's really what we're about. I mean, people who understand the roadmap and understand the way the network works, we require network activity, real network activity, people doing things on chain that they will pay for themselves to provide security. We're not juicing security with block rewards or arbitrary payments. So that's why it's so important to us. And that's why every step up on that path is really valuable to us, I think.
And in our last catch up, we spoke about it was around video chat actually. How is that also growing? Because it feels like it goes beyond video chat now as well.
Right. So I think it's really one of the first ways to see something we're trying to do on the Saito.io platform, and it's been kind of congealing in our kind of consciousness exactly how we should be doing it over the last while. But basically, there's kind of two layers to it. One of which is the actual peer-to-peer chatting part, which is the visual thing you can see. But underneath, it's a combination of two really important features we're trying to bring up in the project. One is the ability of the blockchain to provide the basis of Web3, the ability to connect to other people, locate them on the internet, and establish a connection without any intermediaries. So you don't have any trusted third parties, no DNS resolution, no name service you have to rely on, right? So you can just make that connection. And then the other part is how these kind of normal internet things, I mean, any browser now has the video chat functionality essentially baked in. It's what Zoom's using. It's what Google Meet uses, when you do those things in a browser. But the thing is, how do those services feel and interact when they're based on the user's key rather than needing to go cap in hand to a provider to let you do things? And we're kind of working on a revamp of the features in the site to be clearer about demonstrating just how cool Web3 can be to people. And it's not about Web3 being, it's got clunky user interfaces and things because it's new and you can't do the easier things you can do on Web 2. We're trying to show to people, no, Web 2 looks easier because of how much has been built as a slippery on-ramp by the big players to make that easy. Google OpenAuth or whatever. So now you're reusing people's Google accounts. Well, that's not actually doing anyone a favor. And it looks easy as a developer. But once you see how you can do that with a Saito wallet and easy connection, I think it really will excite people to see, this is a nicer user experience. It's simpler and it makes more sense. And so we're trying to get that in front of people. So I think there's both the back-end connectivity, which will be great for things like chat and even IoT. And then there's also this demonstration of how vibrant and exciting to use Web3 applications can be.
I think that's the nail on the head there, which is, really showing the capabilities and the extensions of Web3 as well. It is the next evolution. In terms of, you touched on it earlier when we spoke, but you're now out of Beijing and back in Australia. So what does that mean exactly for Saito?
Well, I think, it's a personal and family move, but for the project, it means I can be out and about more. We can do some meetups. I've put out a call on Twitter today just to have an informal Saito meetup with anyone in Melbourne. Really hoping to get a few bites on that, and we'll go to the pub as one does in Australia. Do something like that. But it also means we're really looking to be able to hit the on and offline meeting circuit a bit more than we have been. COVID and living situations and me being in China particularly very restrictive on travel. person over the last couple of years, but they've all been in China domestic, and so they're not very visible outside. So I'm really looking forward to being able to get back onto the circuit and out and about and meet some people. If anyone's got any places they'd recommend we'd be or connections, etc., we'd love to hear about opportunities to speak at blockchain conferences, events, things big and small.
Drop the comments below. It's always great for engagement on the video as well.
We'll do that in YouTube videos.
There you go, right here. Well, look, Richard, as always, it's been a great catch up, and thanks so much for taking the time out to take us through some of the updates. And I'm going to leave it there, and we will catch up in about another month's time and see where we go.